Good evening. Welcome all to the Amherst Conservation Commission's bi-monthly meeting. Today is March 25th, 2026 at 7:09 p.m. right now. Here present as far as commissioners are all of us. And likewise, we have Dave Zomek and Aaron Jacques from town. And that's what we got today. We have one hearing that's going to be moved on to our next meeting, as well as discussion of the regulations, town regulations for conservation land, and we'll have our regular chair and director's report. Commissioner Loeffler, Rachel, will be giving us an overview of groundwater technical review for projects. And that's what we've got. As of March 9th, the status of our drought has been scaled back to mild, and we'll see where that goes. With that, I've got nothing else for the time being. I'll turn it over to Dave Zomek for a director's report.
Sure, thanks, Andre. I'll run through some quick updates for the commission here. I can be pretty brief. We had a productive site visit out at Gull Pond today. Two commissioners were there, Andre and Sarah, as well as Aaron and our land management staff. And Sarah's son joined us. He's a fisheries biologist, and we were joined, of course, by our contractor from Beaver Solutions. Had a good pre-discussion out there, talking about water level and where we wanted to set the water level for the pond. We have a new water stream gauge there. You can see it off of. I always blank on the name of that street. Um, can somebody help me out?
There's Town Farm Road.
Crossbrook, you mean?
Crossbrook, yes, Crossbrook. Oh, Crossbrook, a stream gauge on Crossbrook. There we go. So we had a good discussion. John from Beaver Solutions was very helpful, and he got in the water after we left. And we're going to be monitoring that level, and I think we all agreed on bringing the pond level up about a foot or so from where it is right now, and we're going to monitor that and see how we do. We were not able to stay. I know Sarah and Andre stayed a little bit longer, but you probably watched John get some of the work done and begin to make adjustments in that pond leveler. So, what else? Wanted to announce the Puffers Pond Breakfast this year is on June 13th. That's up at Mill River Recreation Area, put on by the Friends of Puffers Pond. They're a wonderful group, of course, that have been doing this for probably 30 years or more. And that money goes toward Puffers Pond expenses, porta potties and work up at Puffers Pond. So that's on June 13th. It typically happens about 8 in the morning, 8 to noon, 8 to 1 under the pavilion at Mill River. So you can mark that on your calendars. Aaron and planning staff have been working on the draft of the open space and recreation plan. You saw that earlier in a much earlier draft and overview, but our plan is to bring that back to you in April. We don't have a date yet, but I'm sure Aaron can communicate that, working with Andre on the future agendas and bring that back to you. It needs to go to, of course, the commission, the planning board, and the recreation commission, all for input before it is finalized. So you will get that in advance of a meeting. Aaron and one of our planning staff have really tightened up the document. It was 140 pages, Aaron. I can't recall. It was well over 100 pages, and I think they've tightened it up and really updated it. And I think you'll be pleased with that document coming to you in April, and we can have a discussion about that and see what your input is. And it reflects hours and hours of work of Aaron and Walker Powell and other planning staff. So we'll get that to you in April. And the goal, of course, is to get that into the state, to have it leave Amherst, to be accepted by Amherst, approved by Amherst, and get it in so we are eligible for grant funding. And of course, it's a planning tool first and foremost, but it's also a check in a box for the state so that we're eligible for a number of grant programs. So that is coming in April. The Conway School of Design, a wonderful group of 3 students, master's degree students, are wrapping up their project. Andre, was anyone else from the commission sat in on a meeting or two with them, but I think it was Andre representing the commission. Lots of great feedback on the Lawrence Swamp, recreation, water supply protection, rare species habitat, forestry. This is going to be a really nice comprehensive report coming from the 3 students at Conway. I expect them to have this probably in the next 2 weeks, and we'll distribute it to you all for input and as a resource document for us for planning in the future. But it's what we've seen, Aaron and I have seen in draft is really impressive with great maps and lots of good recommendations on the future of that wonderful resource down there. So Conway School Project, expect that in the next couple of weeks. CPA projects, Jason represented you all around the CPA table and process. Those are now moving from, they were discussed at the council on Monday night. They now get referred to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee will hear them and discuss them on Tuesday, April 7th. I believe that they meet at 1 o'clock. It's online, virtual. If anybody wants to listen in on how the Finance Committee, discusses, I believe there's 15 projects that made it through to recommended status from CPAC. So, we've got a couple in there for bridge and trail work, as well as additional funding to help us get to the finish line on the signs for recreation and conservation areas. So that's April 7th. We had a really productive culvert grant meeting on the 16th that Bruce and others helped organize with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. We had about 22 people in the town room. Really, some of you were there, laid out maps, talked about flooding areas. I think we got a lot of great feedback, and Bruce may have more to say about that a little bit later. But that grant is proceeding. I know we're still trying to recruit people to get trained and do the assessments, but it's moving despite a couple of bumps in the road with staff and whatnot. Let's see, 1 or 2 other updates. I'm working with a family who would like to donate a tree or two to plant on Mount Pollux. And, this is something we've done in the past. We lost one of the stalwart maple trees up there some years ago, and we're trying to reestablish a little bit of shade up on Mount Pollux for those people who enjoy Mount Pollux. I'm looking for any feedback. If the commission is comfortable with me working with this family, they lost a loved one, and it was a very special place to them, and they'd like to plant a tree or two. They will pay for it, and my staff, conservation field staff, will dig some holes, and we'll plant. We've been planting sugar maples up there, something that'll throw some good shade in years to come. But we're kind of working on that for some time this spring. Let me just see what else is on my short list here. I think we'll, in the future, I want Aaron to maybe give you an update at your next meeting about Middle Street beaver flooding on some of our trails over there at Plum Springs. And, as Aaron has time, maybe she can get out and maybe set up a time with you all. Some of you could visit that flooding issue over there on Middle Street, because we're getting some concerned neighbors. This is a challenge that's been happening over there for the last couple of years, but perhaps Aaron could set up a site visit with you all to walk and talk and talk with the neighbors over there. So that's my quick list of 5 or 6 updates. I feel like I'm missing one, but I think those were the main ones. And I see Bruce's hand is up.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I think it'd be good for us to have a chat about the donation, the tree donation. That sounds good. Sounds like like you've got a lot going on there. Bruce raised his hand. I think you were talking about CPA funding when he
Yes,
hand.
I just wanted the record, I hope, to show our collective appreciation of Jason, the amount of time that it takes to go to all those meetings and represent us.
Thanks, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. It's my pleasure. I really enjoy doing it, and I hope to do it again.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Any other
Well,
questions on any of those?
I see Sarah's got a question. Sarah?
I just wanted to publicly thank Dave and Aaron and the staff for what they did at Gull Pond. We just super appreciated all the creatures and the people, and thank you very much.
Awesome.
It was our pleasure, yes. And you are the commission member and person who sees that pond the most. So please keep us posted on where that water level goes. We'll obviously do some site visits over there, but you see it every day as you're walking in the neighborhood. So please keep us posted.
Awesome. Well, we have some minutes from February 11th, 2026. Does anybody have any questions about those minutes? Okay, if we don't have any questions or problems with it, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from 2/11/2026.
So moved.
Bruce and Rachel with a second. Rachel?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Dina?
Aye.
And Bruce?
Aye.
Nominee. All right. So with that, we don't have any land management updates unless Aaron, do you have any updates? You do.
We did have a land use application that came in from the Hitchcock Center. This is to do the annual egg mass counts at the Holly Swamp following the Henry Street salamander migration. And I believe that that's going to be happening on April 30th. So it's an annual egg mass count that they go out and count egg masses in the vernal pool to try to monitor populations. So staff doesn't have any concerns about it, and it's just an annual request that they submit for that egg mass count.
Okay. Any questions on that? Anyone from the public have any questions about that? I'm somehow not able to see. Oh, there we go. No one from the public raised their hands. Okay, with that, I guess we're looking for a motion to approve CLU 26-2, which is that application.
So moved.
Jason with motion. Looking for a second. Bruce with a second. All right, Bruce,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Gina,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and aye. So that permit's approved. And now
Good question.
yeah, we have a question from Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, sorry, Andre. I recalled what I was going to mention. In your packet tonight, there is a draft of the early successional habitat policy that you all requested, and it'll be up to you all how you want to review that, whether it's tonight or some future night. But it's one of those ones I think that can be inserted into your overall policy. So maybe that can be taken up at the next meeting or whatever. The other quick update for the commission is we are continuing to work, just jumping over to Hickory Ridge for a minute. We are continuing to work with Pure Sky. It's been a while, but you may recall that we were working on an emergency access route for the fire department, Amherst Fire Department, to access the solar field, and we're making some good progress on that. So I just wanted to let you know that that is going to happen. We have the route, and we have made some good progress with Pure Sky on that happening. So just so you know, that is in the works. This was, you recall, this was a condition, particularly that the fire department, required, because if the main access off of West Pomeroy Lane is not accessible because of flooding, and there is an issue that they need to attend to at the solar panels or batteries, they would come in through Mill Valley Apartments. So that is moving forward.
Thank you, Dave. I think we can discuss a little bit about how we're gonna go about the early successional and the other add-ons that we're gonna be putting in there in a few minutes. Now Rachel is going to give us a summary of a discussion with David Bout from UMass. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Rachel.
Okay, thanks, Andre. Yeah, I've been following the work of David Bout at UMass Amherst. He's a hydrogeologist, and he's been looking at groundwater rise in the Commonwealth and in our area specifically. And he's amassed a statewide data set that's complete with projected groundwater rise risk, which would be really helpful for, the commission, the planning board, anyone in town who's interested in seeing what the potential risk might be, and then also as a tool to kind of vet if there's a project or an area that might benefit from additional investigation and analysis. Groundwater rise is going to be one of our biggest threats here in Amherst. We're not on the ocean. Most people, when they think of flooding, they think of floodplains, but we actually might have groundwater flooding at different parts of town. And that really that becomes jurisdictional to the Conservation Commission, in that we are supposed to protect groundwater as part of our charge. And then also groundwater is what feeds our streams. It's what feeds our wetlands. And so if groundwater is flooding and it's mixing with fuel effluents or other things that could be degrading our groundwater resources, and also in some cases drinking water. So it's really important to understand how projects that are being proposed, that are coming before our commission, that if they inadvertently start to interfere with groundwater or contribute to flooding, that's something that we would want to know about. But the big question today is how do you quantify that? How do you look at that? And so the tool that David has, it's a GIS tool, it's a map that we could zoom in to a particular area in town and look at, and it would be flagged as something that would be an area at risk or might be adjacent to risk. And that's the way that we would know that then it would be good to engage a hydrogeologist to do a study of that area. And I think it's really important to note a couple things. Groundwater is how it behaves is really different in our country. So out west, it's deep and it's flat. It's like a plain. But out here in New England, it has its own terrain. It has its own topography. And a lot of that is determined by the amount of precipitation we have, but also the fact that we're post-glacial. And there are all these different shapes in towns of different geologic glacial deposition that have different interactions with groundwater. So you might have an area that drains really well, and you have another area that doesn't. And so there's movement of groundwater underground, and then there's surface water. And traditionally, civil engineering looks at the surface. So when we have projects coming through the commission, civil engineers performing a stormwater report, they're looking at changes to terrain. They're looking at balancing, we call balancing pre and post flows, so that runoff coming off the project doesn't exceed what's happening before the project, but they're not looking or mapping groundwater flows. And so when I was talking with David about, who and what type of materials should we be asking for, he said specifically, we should be asking for a dynamic calibrated groundwater model prepared by a hydrogeologist. And just like the civil engineer is creating a stormwater model, this is a computer-derived groundwater model, and it takes into account soil conductivity, actual soil moisture test in the test pits that normally a stormwater engineer would go into, a detailed terrain model, understanding of high groundwater, and specific yield and porosity. And he said it was really important in the field of hydrogeology, so hydro being water and geology being ground, and hydrogeology looks at that interface. Surficial geology is like if you think about a cake with a really hard pie crust in the bottom, the top layer of our topsoil is like the icing, and the middle layer is the surficial geology. It's just a fancy word for the gooey stuff in between. The model looks at those properties and how things move around. But I think the issue is that, we might have a project that comes to us that passes from a civil engineering stormwater standards perspective. The surface flows are balanced, but there may be something about the way it's constructed or how it interacts with the ground, that surficial material, that could become more of a dam, or it could interfere with the water and cause ponding or flooding of adjacent areas. So if there's an area where someone already is experiencing groundwater issues, that's a pretty good flag that it's probably something that a hydrogeologist would be helpful to look at. And then secondly, there are two different general categories of hydrogeologists. Those that are more field oriented, and then those that are more in this numeric modeling category. And he said for complex sites with the high groundwater, we definitely want to be engaging with the hydrogeologist who has that capacity to build a model themselves. He said that just like with the stormwater models that civil engineers use, there are a bunch of different parameters that they're making judgments on of which classification something falls in. And so he said it was really important for that individual to have the training as the hydrogeologist putting together the model, rather than outsourcing it to another engineer who's just taking direction. So I think what's exciting is that there is information out there to even know if there's more than anecdotal, more than somebody saying that they've seen high groundwater, or us observing that the soils seem really saturated, that there's actually a metric out there that we could rely on. Currently, he said it's completed, but the state is holding off on releasing it until the summer. But we could request it earlier if we would like. And then also his PhD student in his lab is releasing they finished their dissertation and they're publishing their findings in its Amherst space. So that also is helpful information. So that's one. And then two is just understanding that in some cases where we're concerned about protecting the groundwater for wetlands or watersheds, that not all lands would require this, but some lands that are really sensitive, it may be helpful to engage a hydrogeologist in this way. And that we will see rises in groundwater. He's already seen it. Oh, the other pieces, he said that when we look at soils for this, when a civil engineer is looking at soils and digging test pits and looking at basically like the bathtub ring, is that that they call it redux. It's where the soil and the test pit has turned like a tinge of orangey red. And that usually means that that's where indicates where high groundwater is. He said that that takes years to form. And he's seen groundwater rising much higher than that. So that's the case too, where we're designing and building things based upon this information that is getting outdated very quickly, and groundwater is rising faster than what's registering in the soil. So the hydrogeologist can help us prepare for that.
Thanks, Rachel. So a lot to be looking forward to. Is that map for the whole state coming up in the summer, but we can ask whom if we need it beforehand?
He said we could inquire to DCR. He said that originally the project began because DCR asked him for a ground water table map of this Commonwealth. And he said, wait, it's way more complicated than that here. And I think it's been 3 years of collecting information, mapping information, and vetting it.
Mhm.
But his PhD students' information will be published and available online to all of us probably within a week or two.
Wow, great information to have, and it's really important. We have a lot of area in Amherst that has that high groundwater, including on my property. I have a little pond that that's seep fed. So
Yeah, so you see it too. Yeah.
Bruce, you have a question?
Did he talk at all about the difficulties, I assume, of the dynamic interplay between what you just described and the drought?
Yeah, he did. He has some charts that show over time, like we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years over time, looking at tree ring data and looking at lake data, lake course data, and that we're actually we're getting wetter over time. We have these major droughts and we have these major intense rainfall events, but over the longer scale, not just the immediate scale, but over the longer scale of time, we are getting wetter. And as you made the comment that as the climate warms up, we get wetter. And that's because, there's more moisture in the atmosphere, and our ground is getting saturated. So our soil, one of those categories I talked about, is a measure of how saturated the soil is. And when the soils are too saturated, they can't hold any more water whenever it rains. So then that starts to run off and flood more.
The comment that it is a public education, public outreach conundrum, because if people have lots of high groundwater on their property and there's a severe drought warning, do not, do anything, they don't trust what they're being told. And so that is a problem the town and the state faces in this drought context.
An educational opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Rachel. We need to certainly be considering it in the future. We can see that. Well, let's see. Our coming up now, we're going to have a hearing. Let me just go through a quick, if you don't mind, Aaron, putting up the slide for the hearings. We have one hearing. General procedures for fairness means that the hearings are going to be 20 minutes dedicated to the hearing, with a 5-minute presentation by the applicant or their representative, 5 minutes for staff to speak, 5 minutes for public comment, and then 5 minutes for conservation commissioners. Any submitted materials or any materials that that are going to be submitted for review need to be submitted by the Wednesday, the week before the meeting, by close of business on that date. And as you're presenting, just please clearly state your name, the address of the project, and who you're representing, and if you have any preferred pronouns. For members of the public, please state your name and address and preferred pronouns. Everyone needs to be muted until called on. Anyone wishing to speak can raise their hand, and I can facilitate these communications. With that, we're gonna begin our first hearing. The first hearing is a notice of intent. Stonefield Engineering and Design on behalf of Amir Mikchi of Fort River LLC for the proposed construction of a mixed-use structure, housing and commercial with proposed parking, stormwater, and associated site work and landscaping at 126, 140, and 148 Southeast Street and 43 Belchertown Road, map 15C, lots 7, 8, 9, and 48. I don't believe that there's anyone that they're going to be presenting today. Aaron, was there any final word from them on this?
Yeah, are you guys able to see my screen when I when I put up the slides? Can you see them?
I see it now.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, great. Um, so yes, they just to give a little bit of update, the applicant has requested an extension for the submission of the requested revised materials. The original deadline was March 11th, and they requested an extension until April 1st. And then they also requested an extension or a continuance from tonight, from March 25th to April 8th, in order to get some of their materials updated. I did go out to, I requested bids from a number of folks to try to get the engineering peer review and the other two reviews. I only have tentatively selected an engineer for the engineering portion. And have been in communication with them about the fact that these deadlines for submission of documents is changing. So we can't engage them in contract until we get the final materials. So that's one of the holdups here. So I drafted 2 motions to take into consideration their request tonight, if you're willing to consider it.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. I don't know if there's anyone who would like to have any discussion on this, but frankly, I see that we just make these motions and move it till the next meetings. Bruce and Jason. Bruce, please.
Jason first.
Go ahead, Jason.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Andre. We had April 1st, and now we're going to be going to April 11th. That's what they're asking?
No, so
Or
the
April-
so I'll just
Sorry, March 3rd. Sorry, March 3rd and March 11th.
we had originally required the materials to be submitted on March 11th for tonight's hearing on March 25th, but they have requested to extend the deadline for submission of documents from March 11th to April 1st, and then they've requested to continue their hearing until April 8th.
Okay. We've had a few hearings already with this group. I don't want to get into another one of these like Atkins Corner things where we just keep going back and forth, and then we ask for information, we give a deadline, and then we don't get it, and then we get a request and we grant it. What I mean, it was a good amount of time that they had to get this information together. Is this information dependent on anything having to do with a third party review, or are they just
It is.
didn't get it?
Yeah, this information, the third party review is dependent on this information. So we can't,
Sorry,
um,
sorry, Aaron, but the information is not dependent on the third party review. The third party review is dependent on the information.
right, exactly. Yes. Yeah,
So,
they have to get the information together in order for us to conduct the peer review.
okay, so they've had, this was January 30th, right?
I
That,
believe February 11th was when this motion was made. Yeah, February 11th. So
oh,
they've
okay.
had like a month and a half to get the materials together. It will have been 2 months by the time the April date rolls around. So I have framed this as a one-time extension. But if the commission is feeling and frankly, like, we've had conversations with with the town attorney about how long, these extensions can go. The town attorney has indicated like allowing a week is sufficient. Like these projects should be shovel ready when they come to us. So, I think it's completely fair to consider a one-time extension. And if the commission feels that any requests beyond that date, they you don't have to consider allowing these to go on an ongoing basis. You are within your right to say, we're going to deny for lack of information and or allow them to withdraw without prejudice until they can come back with the materials for for it to be a complete application. And I've had conversations with the applicant's representative at length about the risk of continuing this, so they're aware.
All right. I'm just for the record, I'm willing to grant this extension, but I don't, I'm not really willing to grant more after this. If they can't get the information to us by the time we ask for it in this extension, then I don't want to go past that.
Thanks, Jason. Jason makes a great point, and I agree with you, Jason. We don't want another one of these situations where things drag out, and we already have three folks who we have. I've missed the very first one, Jason, which was in November 12th. So that's when this all started. That was quite a while ago. Your point is well taken. But Rachel's missed one, and so has Tina. So yeah, we don't want to keep doing this and kick the can down the road until there's no quorum. And certainly they need to be ready to get business done. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Bruce.
Aaron, of the approximately 26 issues that you cited in your report, of those, how many are related to this engineering review that needs to be done versus things that just they could have supplied earlier and they're just not getting around to it or something? There's a
Yeah.
huge long list there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's preferred for them to submit everything in one package for revisions as opposed to submit piecemeal revisions. It's just easier all around and a lot less confusing. When piecemeal revisions are submitted, it can create a lot of confusion. So it certainly is staff preference for them to assemble everything in one package before they submit it. So certainly there's going to be time that they need to assemble everything to respond to everything all at once, and I think that's what they're doing here.
Thanks, Aaron. Carol?
Well, I had kind of the same question as Bruce. I read through your list of queries for more information. Is that something that was reasonable to expect that information with their initial application? I mean, it takes a lot of your time to go back and make these lists for them, right?
Yes, I mean yeah, it's a lot of it is sort of subjective. So for example, like I might in pre-permitting meetings say to them, reduce your parking as much as possible. We need to, give them all these recommendations. So when they submit their application, they're attempting to meet those sort of pre-permitting criteria that staff have laid out. But, I think it's reasonable to expect with any project that there's going to be one round, if not multiple rounds of revision. And as long as they're turning those revisions around within a reasonable time frame, and I think reasonable time frame can be anywhere from 1 week to 30 days. I think as long as we're holding to that, that's a pretty consistent expectation for most applications. Going over 30 days, I think starts to be a little bit, it starts to drag on for the commission. So I think this is kind of a long extension. Again, I think allowing it one time I don't think is unreasonable, but I think it's fair to say if they're requiring more than 60 days, then it starts to get a little bit, that's a pretty long extension to request.
Well,
Thanks.
I'll just
Bruce.
just that on the flip side, this is a very complicated site, and it's a very potentially polluted site. So I get that it's complicated and difficult and requires a lot of stuff to see whether it's even possible, and that's fair. So I don't mean to overstate it, but it just seemed like a lot of the stuff in that list was not related to having an engineer go out there and look at stuff. There were many other things that should have been done earlier, but that's enough for my comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. I think, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to see it go beyond this one extension and or this last extension, if you would, because yeah, they've had they've had the time, and we need to keep moving on this and other hearings as they come. So if we don't have any other questions, let's see, anyone from the public once again? No, I don't see any hands up from the public. We don't have any other questions. We're looking for maybe someone new to read this huge motion. And Aaron, if you don't mind making it a little bit bigger, so that those of us without great eyesight can read this. Tina does have a question, or maybe Tina wants to read the motion.
I raised my hand so I could read the motion.
Okay, great.
We watched the last video and I heard Bruce loud and clear. Okay, so move to grant one-time extension the applicant to submit all requested information as noted in January 30th, 2026 memo from the conservation agent requested information needed prior to initiation of peer review services and staff recommended scope of work under Chapter 44, Section 53G by no later than April 1st, 2026 for review. Peer review contract shall not be executed unless requested information is submitted and revised materials are received in a timely manner by noted date.
Thanks, Tina. Looking for a second.
I second it.
Tina with a motion, Carol with a second, and Sarah with a close third.
All the newbies.
Yeah, I know, right? Great. Carol? How do you vote?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Sarah? Sarah?
Aye.
Bruce? I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right, we have a second motion there.
All right, I motion that we move to continue the public hearing for DEP number 081-0765 to April 8th, 2026 at 7:25 p.m.
Second. Oh,
Rachel with
Go
a
ahead,
second.
Rachel. You can.
Yeah, you guys were both at the same time almost. All right, Tina with a motion, Rachel with a second. Jason?
Aye.
Rachel?
aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Bruce.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, with that, we'll be seeing them. On my notes, I see March 25th, but it's April, is it April 11th? Is that correct?
April 8th.
April 8th. Okay. Um, okay, we had a quick update earlier on Gold Pond. I think we can save is there any further update that we need on that? What I did want to do is make sure that we have a discussion on Gold Pond during our discussions of beaver permits and beaver management. I want to make sure that we don't have a situation in the future where the Conservation Commission is not involved in a drawdown or installation of anything in a beaver pond. If it's so, if we're all familiar from last week's discussion on the kind of three avenues that that there are for dealing with beaver problems. One of them is essentially removing the beaver for an emergency, and that's determined by the town's Board of Health, and not with the Conservation Commission. The other two options of breaching a dam or installing something that controls the water levels has to do with that affects the wetlands. Therefore, the Wetlands Protection Act and the Conservation Commission comes into play. If that might help understand the nexus that we have. So in those situations, we do need to be consulted, and we do need to approve and give order of conditions. So we'll need to make sure that we get a sub-module into our policies and regs. I'm going to be working with Aaron on that. But a sub-module on beavers and make sure that we have ironed out a method for the Conservation Commission to be approving or having the right to approve or not the drawdown, essentially the manipulation of the wetlands that a beaver dam creates. Let me think. All right, so we'll be putting something together to put into these into our policies. With that said, I'm forgetting what page we left off on, but we're getting pretty we're making our way through this pretty well. Let's see.
I believe we left off on page 23, Andre, and we were at land use applications.
Page 23.
Also, just for the record, we did add the early successional policy to the packets that Dave and I had worked on drafting. So I don't know if you want to interrupt the flow of the review of the document to, okay. Just
No,
wanted to make sure you knew that was there.
actually, I'd like to take a look at that before we all start talking about it,
Okay.
because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't
Okay.
looked at it. For some reason, I didn't realize that was in there.
Okay.
I thought that was coming in the future. But what I can say is that well, what I would like to ask is Dave or maybe you, Aaron, what we're looking to do is make sure that we have that the mowing on all properties is done within a certain, we want to make sure that we have all properties mowed not only in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, but also in accordance with good wildlife habitat management practices. So, Dave, I see that you've brought, the town has brought a early successional habitat mowing plan. Is that the mowing plan for all of conservation lands or only for habitat that is considered to be early successional?
Could you say that again, Andre?
Okay. Aaron just mentioned that, and I think you mentioned it earlier, that you've put forth a early successional habitat mowing plan or management plan. So my question is that only for early successional habitat, or is that a mowing plan for all conservation land?
I'm trying to see if I understand your question. So,
Can you please explain to us what it is that you've brought forth to us?
oh yeah, yeah. A quick reminder, that a few years ago, some of the commission members who are currently with us now, but weren't with us a couple of years ago, at my urging and my initiative, we initiated a process to kind of standardize policies, procedures, rules, and regulations because really through the years, staff change, Conservation Commission members change. And my feeling was that we really didn't have enough things written down. So that's the genesis of the land use subcommittee that worked through a number of these chapters. One of the ones we never got to, actually, I think, was early successional habitat management. So Aaron and I spent some time researching, talking, and pulling this together so that it could be inserted when you're ready, after your review and input, into your overall policy document. So these are the, policy is generally broad-reaching goals, broad-reaching, guidance to help the department decide, okay, you would like us to manage in such a way to encourage, grassland bird habitat in this area, early successional habitat that supports insects and butterflies in this area, et cetera. So this is the broad policy. This is not the plan on how we would mow every open field or early successional habitat we have in town. We have about 300 acres of, quote, open field habitat that have been mowed through the years. It's all former agricultural land. So this is the broad policy. I think it's about a page and a half, 2 pages long. Does that help? The only other thing we mow is really, other than the open field habitat, early successional habitat, the only other thing we mow are some of the trails. So, pick a conservation area that has some of them have mowed trails. The approach to Sweet Alice, we go from the parking lot up to the woods, and it's 8 feet wide, and we mow that twice a year or something like that. So does that help clarify what we provided to you?
It does. It does help quite a bit. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
what I
would.
saw in our charge and all that is that in what our job is that we are supposed to as well work with the town to make sure that there's this mowing policy. So that's I had asked for that. I think we as a commission asked for that. So I'm glad that you have that set up. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
I do want to make sure that as part of our policies and so on, that that it's clear that that folks working on conservation lands know not to not to mow to know to basically follow the same rules and regulations that we apply as a on conservation lands and throughout, right? So I just want to make sure that that's included within there, because I've heard some public complaints personally.
Yeah.
That-
Well, you all can take a look at that document. There will be differences of opinion, of course, from the public who might, like a way a particular area has been managed or not. I think the subcommittee spent quite a bit of time talking about this, but frankly, we ran out of time. We even did some site visits where this came up with Michelle and Alex, Bruce, of course, and Aaron and myself, but we just ran out of time. We got, involved in other sections of the policy. There was one other thing I was going to mention. One of the things for two other things. One is I could see this policy followed at some point. I am not making this promise now, but at some point, Aaron and I have talked about a plan for each area, each conservation area, which, at some point we would propose to the commission and you would review it and have input and approve it. And I think the plan that I saw from Weston had a lot of very interesting elements. So I could see us moving in that direction. The other comment I'll just make and I'll stop is one of the things that will challenge us, I will tell you, is that historically the farmland that some of the land that the town has purchased, the 2,400 acres, is farmland, former farmland, and many of those acres are wet meadow. There is no data. We have not delineated all those wet meadows. We have not delineated those resource areas. It would be cost prohibitive to do so. So I think it's a decision that the commission needs to make in the future as we delve into this a little deeper, is are we not going to manage at all those wet meadows and areas that may be identified as resource areas? So you take an area like Wentworth Farm or Brickyard or, pick one. Many of the lands that we purchased or were gifted to the town over the years, we purchased them or they were gifted to us because they're wetland resource areas. They were farmland. Keep in mind that there were 55 dairy farms in Amherst, so a lot of it was pasture for dairy. So that's a little caveat that we'll have to approach moving forward. Think Atkins Flats.
Absolutely.
Large area of Atkins Flats are wetland resource areas. So anyway.
I remember when they were mowed. Yeah, and maybe one of the ways to we'll get to that at some point, but maybe one of the ways to manage that is through farming for hay, for example. Well, that's something.
Yes, but I actually made that comment, Andre, because your initial comment was about taking into consideration all rules, regulations, and laws. So since we don't know where all those resource areas are, I mean, Atkins Flats has been farmed for 200 years or 150 years plus or minus, and we've probably kept it in early successional habitat for 40 or 50, at least our section. But the question is, do we continue to do that? Do we continue to mow it at all? Is a question we'll look at in the future.
All right. Well, good. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about when I'm talking about when mowing in general versus early successional, meaning wildlife management or management versus just mowing for humans or whatever. I could give an example of one of the, some of the ponds, like Gull Pond. It's mowed almost up to the shoreline, if you would. I think it's worth having a conversation of how close do we get to that, right? For that's what I'm talking about, our involvement in not specifically saying what day you mow it and all this stuff, but I mean, we do have to ensure that that the regulations are followed, or where, up to what point how close to the shoreline of the pond do we mow? That kind of stuff is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think the draft talks about setbacks and things like that. We submitted it a week or so ago, so I'd have to look at it, but those can all be inserted. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you. Jason.
Out of curiosity, when you guys are talking about Atkins Flats, where is that? What is
Atkins-
that? Is that an actual conservation area? I don't.
It
recall
is.
seeing
It's
it, but
you'll see reference to it in the report that we're going to forward on from the wonderful work that the Conway School of Design did. But it's a conservation area. It's one of our largest. It's off of Southeast Street. Access is rather limited because of, well, frankly, because of how the land was acquired and some deed restrictions there. But it's part of the Greater Lawrence Swamp complex that with land owned by the town through the Conservation Commission, and then other lands owned by or managed by the Department of Public Works, and then some APRs, agricultural preservation restrictions. So yeah, it's probably our best. I think it is without a doubt our best grassland bird area, i.e. meadowlark, meadowlarks, bobolinks, kestrels. So it was a hayfield, and we have continued to maintain it in open field habitat. So very wet meadow.
Yeah. A lot of woodcock there. I've seen some nice marsh hawk or northern harriers. A lot of good birds there. Sarah.
I just have a question, Dave. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Is what you're saying that so a place like Wentworth that's wet, or a place like I'm not familiar with the Atkins property that you're talking about, because we haven't mapped the wetlands resources at those sites, the town of Amherst is not actually following our own bylaw in its mowing practices. It's just doing what's always been done to keep it a meadow. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a question to be looked at in the future, Sarah.
I just wanted to
we have not delineated, we haven't
Right.
2,000 acres, 2,400 acres of conservation land. We haven't delineated every wetland or every resource area. It would be cost prohibitive to
Right.
do that. So
No, I understand why.
I think
was
there
just
are
trying-
decisions that need to be made. Some of these, I said this to the subcommittee, some of these early successional areas may need to be let go and let nature take its course. I think there's a climate change argument to be made as well. It takes quite a bit of fossil fuel. And to be honest, we are not given weather, staffing, equipment, breakdowns, we're not efficient isn't the right word, but we don't get to half those acres every year. I mean, in the ideal, you do rotational mowing, but we have really limited our mowing, to be honest, in the last 5 to 7 years because of wet conditions, equipment breakdown, and staffing. So there are a lot of years where we might mow 50 acres, 100 acres, and that's all we mow out of the 300. And some years we might mow 30 or 40. So, But yeah, I think it's a question in the future. Are some of these areas too sensitive to be kept in early successional habitat? And it might be a decision of the commission to let them go. Um,
And
you
so
know,
can I just ask one follow-on question? Because I never thought about this before. This is why I'm asking. So what do other agencies do? What does the state do? And what do conservation groups do when they're trying to encourage, save, say, the bobolink from extinction?
I think there's a wide variety of different management. You'll see in the policy, and Aaron did wonderful research on that, but there's pretty standard. Massachusetts has been a leader for 25 years in early successional habitat, particularly because of the threat to grassland birds, that suite of species from upland sandpipers and vesper sparrows and bobolinks and meadowlarks and kestrel, American kestrel in particular, that suite. But there is always that that interface of when a upland meadow, if you will, in our case, a former hayfield, uh, uh, reaches or interfaces with a wet meadow. What do you do? Do you keep that wet meadow in early successional habitat, or do you let that become a shrub swamp of some sort? So it's a conversation to be had later. I
Okay,
don't want to.
thanks. I appreciate it.
I really enjoy. I enjoy these conversations, but I don't want to take too much time
Okay.
from the agenda. But I think those are conversations in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Dave, one last question. You said obviously we're not going to go out there and we don't have the time to delineate everything right now. Brad, and you have another employee, right? For
And Anthony.
Tony, right? So what's their training in recognizing wetlands, and what do they do if they get to an area that might be a wetland?
Brad has a forestry background. He's been our land manager for more than 10 years. He is, he's been mowing some of these areas for more than 10 years. Some areas, frankly, we haven't even gotten to in 10 years. So they go to workshops. Aaron has worked with them off and on. I have worked with them off and on in, kind of what areas to mow and what areas not to mow.
So they're familiar with the regulations, the wetlands regulations?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
how to be off
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
buffer zones, et cetera. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
But
important.
I think when you look at the draft policy, I think it is a way to codify how we should be doing things. What kind of rotational mowing should we be doing? Should it be every other year? There's 3 sections to it. One is on insects and butterflies. Another section is on turtles, terrestrial turtles in particular. And then the third section focuses on grassland bird suite, including early successional species like you mentioned, woodcock, snipe, yellow warbler, chestnut-sided warbler, etc. Species that use that not grassland, but that next stage. So lots of discussion to be had there. But I welcome it all because I think we need policy moving beyond all of us working for the town.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you. With that, real quick, Aaron, what page did you say we are on? 20? Are we at land use applications right now?
Yes, yep. Land use applications is where we're just beginning.
All right. Okay. Dave, thanks a bunch for your clarifications. All right, so here we are at land use applications. That's page 20 of the original draft that we had. If you can make that a little bigger, that'd be awesome. Yeah, looking good. Okay. Do we have any comments on the first two paragraphs? I see no hands up. What about the third paragraph that starts with land use applications? Must be submitted. Okay. I don't see any. Anything up to research and monitoring requests? No. Anything on the 6 points in research and monitoring requests? No. Anything up to deposit and donation structure for land use applications?
I had one.
Yes, please.
Can we go back to the previous page, 23? I just want to highlight Alex's point about insurance.
Yep.
And I don't know whether, Aaron, you've had a chance to look into it, but it is a pretty important piece that we need to think about.
Yes, I did check in with the town attorney. They thought that the $1 million liability coverage was reasonable. There was one part of the document where we did add a caveat to that, which was, and I don't know the exact number, but it was something like if there was a large event with over X number of people, the town may need to consider whether greater than $1 million liability coverage would be required. I can't remember the exact threshold. I think it's further down. And I want to say it was something like,
Okay, thank
a
you.
large head count for an event would trigger a greater than 200 people. So for larger events greater than 200 people, a larger insurance policy may be
Okay.
required.
Thank you.
That's a license or indemnity agreement. Is that what it says there?
Yeah, like a liability coverage.
That's under deposit and donation structure. So those are good points that to be discussing with the town's attorney prior to us to a final review and approval. Anything up to general use licenses? Okay, that covers that subsection. For anything on general use licenses, from there up to enforcement. I see no hands. Anything on enforcement in general? Nothing.
Andre,
Yeah, Jason.
We have first offense, second offense, third offense, and subsequent offenses. Is there a point at which we think that if somebody has, 6 offenses, that we might want to say ban them from using conservation land if they're actually racking up that many offenses to the point where they're trespassing then on conservation land? Do we want to go that far with this? I mean, I think again,
do that anyway.
what's that?
I would say that it can be done by the town regardless, but meaning that that's trespass order type thing.
And I'm thinking of some places, especially where people might, thinking of like Puffer's Pond, right? Or areas like that where somebody might go quite often or, whatever, and they're drinking or they get caught drinking or some, a place should we essentially, I'm asking, should we put it in writing here that after so many offenses, or that the town reserves the right to, or the Conservation Commission reserves the right to ban people from using conservation land for any number of offenses?
I think that's worth discussing. I can see where that would be helpful to have, Jason, in certain instances. Sarah, let's keep that.
I think it's a good idea. I agree with Jason that it should say in here. I'm not exactly sure where, but you're talking about how people can be penalized. It says by indictment or complaint, but somewhere in there. Oh, in addition to civil penalties, the commission may enforce these regulations by any means available. I think at the end of that sentence,
Yep.
you could also say the commission may also ban violators from any town conservation land, something like that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. Bruce?
I don't agree. I want their money. I think just keep the fine money coming into our coffer. We'll spend it on something useful.
There might be some instances though when what they're doing is harming the environment too much. That we don't
Well,
want them back.
fair enough.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that the severity and the damage that folks might be doing can be taken into account as well. Dave?
Yeah, fortunately, I think it's fairly rare that these things happen, at least in my tenure here over 20 years. But I think the word is we probably want to put in the word trespass. I don't think ban, the town could legally trespass somebody. And again, this document will be reviewed again by town attorney when you are done making your edits and we go to a public hearing on it. But I think putting something about, if there are repeated offenses, an individual may be trespassed or something, whatever wording you'd like to work out.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks, Dave. Sarah?
I just want to make the point that it's just may. You're just saying what are some of the things that you're not saying they will, and it doesn't. One doesn't. In fact, it even says that one doesn't preclude the other. There's a catch-all phrase there somewhere.
Yeah, number 3.
But I'm just thinking what comes to mind for me, because I've seen this before at Wentworth anyway, is people, making campfires on the property. If there's something really egregious that somebody's doing, it might be that you wouldn't want them on town land. And I don't know if that's enforceable yet. You would have to ask town council.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Bruce, your hand's still up, but I think it's Jason.
No, Jason.
Thanks. I was just gonna kind of say what Sarah said in that, and also what Dave said. Like, I don't know how many actual violations and fines that have been issued over the years, but it seems like you have to do something particularly egregious. So I would also, I would not like to set a limit, right? Just that at any point, regardless of how many numbers of violations, if you do something really bad, you shouldn't be allowed back on.
Completely agree. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason. So let's find so I can think of 2 places to put that. One of them being where it lists the fines. If non-criminal disposition is elected, the non-criminal fine for each such violation, if not otherwise specified, shall be, and it says then each day or portion, so on and so forth. Then it goes on to say that it can be done criminally. Number 2 there is that it can be they can be brought criminally in addition to civil penalties. I think Sarah's idea of putting it on number 3, it really fits well there. But that's where I would see putting it, like Sarah was saying, something to the effect of any offense may result in uh, in a trespass order if depending on the or for egregious, I don't know, may result in trespass order being issued, comma, depending on the severity of the violation. And I'm looking for any other wording that you may prefer. Jason's up. Jason?
Yeah, I'd almost like to see this just as its own separate bullet point and saying something like the Conservation Commission reserves the right to uh, issue. I don't know what the actual wording would be, Aaron. Like reserves the right to issue an order of trespass or for any violation, um, based depending on the severity of the violation. Saying that like, uh, not only are you potentially liable for civil penalties and then all that stuff, but then also another bullet point is also we may essentially ban you from using
Okay.
conservation land.
So why don't we make where I could see putting that is cutting that out and giving that a number 2 then.
Putting it under
Number 2,
the first,
number
under
2.
number 1.
Yes, make it number 2, and then number 2 will be 3, etc.
And should I keep the note under item 5 as well? Or
Let's get rid of that one.
I think you can add it.
There we go. So now we have it as an individual. You would like to add it?
I think it could be added to bullet point number 2.
Well, you're just repeating the same thing.
Well, you're saying any offense reserves the right to issue trespass order. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
You're right.
You gave one sentence and I gave another sentence, but it was the same sentence.
Yep. I agree with that.
So
Sorry,
let's-
Aaron. You can take off.
no, yeah. So which
Regarding-
one do we want to stick with? They're both similar.
I think I like what I like the wording that Jason provided with the Conservation Commission reserves the right to issue a trespass order. Yeah, go ahead. To issue a trespass order depending on the severity of to issue a trespass order to issue a trespass order depending on the severity of violations encountered. Sarah.
Sorry, but I'm a lawyer, and so you don't want to put in that stuff about depending on the severity, because then you're opening yourself up to a challenge that it wasn't severe enough. So if you're going to put it in, you just need to reserve the right to do it without, it's just in the judgment of the commission essentially, because you don't want you don't want to, basically open up an ability of somebody to challenge the decision. So
let me ask you this, if it says the Conservation Commission reserves the right to issue a trespass order due to violations of these regulations?
yeah, you could just say the conservation because it's also, I'm having trouble seeing because I'm on my phone. But if it's its own thing, or Is it, is it its own thing? Okay, so well, you can still say also, the Conservation Commission also reserves the right to issue a trespass order against violators, you know, in its discretion or something like that, because you want it to be that the Commission can just do it. You don't want them to have to follow some standard that can be challenged. That's all I'm saying.
Sounds great. I think so. We're going to stick with the wording that you just helped us with.
Okay,
Thank you, Sarah.
yep.
Okay, anything else on enforcement? Okay. So we're through with this document then.
Yay,
Yeah.
round of applause.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the appendices. Bruce. Jason's got a big smile.
That's what I was going to say.
Good job, everyone. We'll keep on it and we'll finish this up. Keep going. All right, so I'm looking at some appendices here. I thought we might have gone through, didn't we already go through appendix was it A or the definitions? Which one did we go through? I thought we
Yes.
went through one of these the other day.
So looking at some of these might be a little premature because I think sections like definitions we're still developing. Let's see. So and a lot of these are just references. So the Conservation Commission Act being, you know, one of the citations. The Conservation Commission Act being the act that basically established conservation commissions and allows the Conservation Commission to draft regulations that govern the land that it has care, custody, and control of. So, oops. Acronyms, and again, I have to go through the document again to make sure that we've captured all of those. And then, of course, definitions. We have a bunch of additional definitions that we've added in the course of our review that need to be added to this as well. Andre, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to railroad your. I just wanted to give a couple examples of like, you know, work in progress kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, let's look at the contents of the appendix.
Okay.
And so the first one is the Conservation, the Commission Act, right?
Mhm.
So the acronyms we're working on, the definitions we're working on, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Guidance for boards of health implementing beaver and muskrat, procedure for alleviating beaver or muskrat. These are recommended procedures by the state.
Those are, yeah, so those are the actual, and we can jump to them if you want to.
Yeah, I think it would make sense that, you know, we don't need to, unless these are summaries of the regulations, which I see now that it's a summary, right? When you look at Appendix A, this is not the regulation. This is a summary.
Yes, yeah. And then there's also, so there's a summary of the regulations, and then there's also the visual, which I know Rachel shared her visual that she also created, which I think might actually be, I mean, this is the state's flow chart, which is really difficult, versus Rachel's, which is a lot more user friendly. So we could potentially include both if you wish to.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, we could put Rachel's in there with it. I think this is a good one too. But what I'm looking at is Appendix A. Appendix A is essentially what makes up the Conservation Commission. It's the Conservation Commission Act. It's someone's summary. Do we know who summarized this?
Um,
Sarah has a question in the meantime.
Yeah, I do not think should include a summary of a statute.
We're getting
Yeah.
there. We're
Yeah.
getting there.
yeah.
I mean, first of all, it's not really necessary, but if you want to tell people where they can find the legislation
Yeah.
that creates the Conservation Commission, you just cite the act with a link and they can click on the link, but I don't think we should be in the business of summarizing laws. We'll just get ourselves in trouble.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, well, so that we're getting there, Sarah. The question I want to know who made this. Where did
So-
we make this?
To answer your question, Andre, I'm not sure. I suspect it was somebody on the subcommittee. I can't say definitively, and I personally did not add it, so I can't attest to who did that summary.
Bruce?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, Sarah read my mind or is of the same mind that I am.
I have a question. If you look on the last sentence of the first chapter, it says the law reads verbatim as follows. So it's not a summary. It comes directly from the law based on that.
Where does it say that?
The last sentence of the first paragraph. Which doesn't mean we should leave it in. I'm just saying it's not a summary based on that language.
It's like an introductory
Oh,
sentence.
you know what though? The problem with this isn't set up like the law though. This is I'm not.
Let's just leave it out and do what Sarah suggested and have a reference to go look for it.
So what we can do here is make Appendix A a copy of the regulation of the law. So just insert into that a copy of MGL 40 Section 8C.
Yep.
Just put the law in there instead of this, because I see that it does says the law reads verbatim as follows, but this isn't numbered, etc., like like the laws would be numbered. So we can't verify that that's verbatim.
Well, just for links, I would say just put a link to the state website and have them go look it up.
All right. I would prefer that we just include the regulation.
Okay. Well, all right.
That way we still have that Appendix A and just do a quick switch.
Okay. It doesn't matter to me.
All right, thanks. Sarah, your hand's still up?
Yeah, sorry. So if you want to do it, Aaron, you just like type in, maybe you've done this a million times, but you just type in that citation to a Google search and it'll bring you to the official section and you can just copy and paste it in if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Okay, but you leave out that organic language. That's not part of the statute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so that's one. Now we're gonna pass over Appendix B and C.
Can I say something about inserting the whole law?
Yeah.
I think it's important to make this as universally accessible as possible, even if it, takes up more space.
Therefore, how does that relate to the law then?
Put it in.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Sarah?
I'm really sorry, but it's just what I do. So there's another problem with putting the statute in. You're gonna have to amend the darn rules every time the law changes. So I really don't think it's a good idea. I think you can, you can put a link in if we're sure that the link is gonna work such that when somebody clicks on it, it's gonna give you the most current law. But we really don't want to be amending these every time the statute changes.
I think we'll have to,
Why?
because
No, not necessarily.
our regulations are essentially kind of mirroring the statutes.
Right. Well, if they change, then we will. But I don't know. I think, you want to be careful how you point people to references. I'm sorry, but this is just what I do. I think that I don't think it's necessary to put this. I think you can provide them with a link if you want to be able to tell them where to find it.
Yeah, but links, yeah, sometimes you hit a link and and then it never takes you anywhere either.
Well, you can just type in the statute, the citation to the statute as amended, and then they can copy it and put it into their own browser. Or if you want to, I mean, the problem is that it might change. You could just put something about it being current as of the date
That's what I'm thinking, that at the top of it, where it says Appendix A, uh, as of the right, as of the date of whatever date we do, the current regulation is.
Yeah, you could do that. Thanks.
Maybe put in parenthesis, check with mass.gov for updated,
Yeah, that's fine.
updated.
Good idea.
Like that way it's all covered. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I agree. That's fine.
All righty.
So no link, just a copy of the statute and then a notation that it's current as of that date, and then should check mass.gov for updates.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. The next appendix is a circular put out by the Commonwealth on for guidance for Board of Health. So these are things that we need to be familiar with. It's got a list of the different this has a list of the different instances where where beavers or muskrats are considered to be a threat to human health or safety. So A through I. It does say on after I, there's all right, the next paragraph on this upcoming page, the second paragraph on the upcoming page here says at the bottom of the page says this permit authorizes the applicant, at the bottom of that page there.
Sorry, it's
Yep.
sticky. It won't let me scroll.
Okay. Authorizes the applicant to remedy the threat in one of three ways. You gotta. Okay. Yep.
Am I going too far?
And then it's just gone past it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find what you're talking about.
Right at
Oh,
the
there we
top
go.
of it. Yep. And one of three ways. By use of a conibearer box cage trap type traps, or two, by breaching of dams, dikes, bogs, berms, subject to the determination and conditions of conservation commissions, or three, use of any non-lethal management or water flow devices subject to determinations and conditions of the conservation commissions. Again, you see here where there are those three possibilities. One, they're killing the animal or 2 and 3, they're breaching the dam or putting some kind of water level control. Those last 2 are to be done under subject to determinations and conditions of the conservation commissions. So always good to remember those 3 instances. Bruce.
I would like Aaron to double check that this document is the most recent. It's 25 years old.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just checked. It is.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
We could put a note about that though in this as well.
Something at the top.
Yeah.
Well, maybe yeah, okay. But anyway, I did highlight that one section for just for us to remember. You know, it seems like it's a little, I think I remember it being the beaver regulations being spoken of in the past as being very complicated. It really isn't that complicated. I think I think if we start by acknowledging the fact that there are 3 different types of instances and go from there, I think that really kind of simplifies things quite a bit. Bruce, your hand's still up. I assume that you don't have another question, but Carol's hand's up. So Carol, please.
So I just happened to be reading this book, Beaverland,
Mhm.
and it says that in March 1st, 2022, a bill banning the use of conibear or body grip traps was being presented in Hartford, Connecticut.
Mhm.
And I just wondered, as somebody not knowing much about this, if there were some real problems with that type of trap in terms of what we permit.
Yeah, I think that the fact that it's a killing trap is no longer, I don't think that it's permitted anymore.
I don't think it was the fact that it was a killing trap, but that it was a really nasty, it caused a lot of suffering, prolonged death.
Okay.
You know better than me. That's just what I noticed.
What was the year that was done?
2022 is when this book was published. This was Connecticut. So, I have no idea what the
What? I'm sorry?
this, this is talking about a bill in Connecticut,
Oh,
not in this state.
yeah. Okay. All right. I think so what I have seen, I've seen another a more recent one of these. And I'll find it here in a little bit, but where conibear is not mentioned anymore. So I would be, I believe that conibears are prohibited. Dave, have you heard any of this? I think you might be up on
I think you're right,
yeah.
Andre.
But the conibears are prohibited. The
I
last
think you're correct.
because the last I have seen a document similar to this that has removed the conibear trap from it. And when I was just reading it earlier, I kind of jumped back a little bit.
Well, then, okay, because the permit authorized the applicant to remedy the threat in one of 3 ways: use of a conibear. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, the permit itself. You've seen a permit?
I'm just reading the text.
No, the text. Yeah. So maybe this isn't the most recent. I Googled it and it seemed like it was, but maybe somebody needs to do a deeper dive.
I have a copy of here we go. Let me see. I'm looking at a copy of something. The problem is I don't remember seeing a date on this. Let me just double check it.
It looks like they're still allowed in Massachusetts.
Let me share my,
It's section 80A of chapter 131.
I'm trying to, yeah, I'm gonna
They're prohibited, but they're still allowed for beavers in certain circumstances by federal and state departments of health or municipal boards of health.
all right. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes,
Your screen desktop, yeah.
All right.
very cute.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Whoops. I don't know what I just did there, but let's go.
Make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
I think we allow Aaron and Sarah to work on this separately and bring us back a proposal at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's a good
And not
idea.
try to solve it together here.
Well, I don't think that I think that it's possible we might not need that. So this here is the,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Just making a suggestion.
So this is what I've got here. Is this not the same exact, let me just double check here.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, this is a newer one. What I have here is newer, So I'm gonna get this to you, Aaron, if you would.
yeah,
Sure.
and I didn't put the appendix together. That was done by a member of the subcommittee, so I can't attest to the accuracy and or how it was developed or copied and pasted in at all. So it would be helpful to see
Yeah.
this so we can do a
Well,
little just QA/QC of it.
yeah, and I do want to all of us go over this anyway next time that we meet. So how about I get you guys all a copy of this? I was looking at this last night and today in preparation for today, but it does have a lot of pretty good information here. And it refers us to it says technical guidance of the use of water flow devices has been provided by the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife in a booklet named The Use of Water Flow Devices in Addressing Flooding Problems. It's got some really uh, good ideas on what to do and what guides it's got. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but here we go. I'll take a look later on about whether box traps only or box traps and conibears can be used. Okay, we'll get to that offline. Dave?
I know it's getting close to 9, Andre. My question was, we're going over the appendices, so it sounds like this is a newer document, which makes all the sense in the world. I mean, some of this stuff we did a year ago, so there are new documents the subcommittee plucked, and now there are new documents. But I'm wondering, since it's just in the appendices, wouldn't your policy refer to, the town, shall follow the following legal and other guidance from the state as per this document, whatever document you all decide to put in your plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it, Dave. We've, during these discussions, we've been, we've done kind of a hybrid, if you would, of referring to state law or sometimes just bringing the state law and into our regs. So offline, Aaron and I are going to be working on this policy. Sarah, if you'd like to as well, we can do that. But my thoughts were to almost literally bring whatever we can from this document into our regs.
Yeah, yeah, just kind of, yeah, if it's well spelled out in these documents, why reinvent the wheel? And just the wheel is there for everybody to follow.
Yeah, and my tracking along your lines of thinking is I wanted to bring as much as possible into our stuff that's already done, without having to redo it because we don't, we want this getting through. It's the time. So okay, so on this then I'll be working with Aaron, Sarah, if you would like to work on it with us as well.
Sure, that's fine.
Um, next here. This flow chart is pretty good. It's a little bit confusing as well, but if it helps enlighten someone, I think it's worth keeping. I think it's also good, excuse me, to incorporate Rachel's in there, which is really good and simplifies some of this. I'm not in a position right now to comment on Appendix F.
I don't have that on my screen anymore. Do you?
Oh, Aaron, do you mind putting Appendix F up there?
Well,
Don't you have a copy of that in your, Carol?
have a copy of it where?
Where you might have downloaded it from the papers and stuff that we have for the meeting. It's okay. If not, all of this paperwork is in our meeting booklet.
Yeah, I know. I don't have it on my screen though. I've been reading it from my screen.
Aaron, if you don't mind putting that up, that'd be great. Bruce? Bruce, you're muted.
I have a solution. We stop here, we do the rest of it, we adjourn, because since I wrote F, I would like fresher minds looking at it.
All right.
That's fair.
Sounds great, Bruce. It's a good stopping point. We've done a great job, gotten pretty far through here so far. So with that, then that brings us to compliance updates, monitoring reports, and public comment. So on compliance, I had your document somewhere. No. All right, so can we move into compliance updates then, Aaron? Sorry to put you on the spot here. I had your report, but I don't have it anymore. Can you please give us a quick rundown? Bruce?
Can you focus on Olympia Drive? Because that one seems like the one that's current and problematic.
You want that? All right, let's make that. Can we let's take care of the easy ones first and then get into that one, please.
So I don't really have any updates on the first couple. As far as Olympia Drive is concerned, I had emailed the property owner some months ago about getting a response regarding our request for soil testing by March 25th. And I have not heard back from the landowner by today's date. I did go out to the site for a sort of a secondary pre-construction meeting since the fire, because they're in the process of doing a partial demo of the foundation. And on site, sort of during that pre-construction meeting, realized that a lot of the erosion controls that are required as per the approved plans were not currently installed. And so I advised the contractor that those controls need to be reinstalled as per the approved plan. And they had been sort of treating the entire site as one big site. And I told them, you know, that other site where the main site of the building where the fire was is not covered by our order of conditions. So it doesn't matter that they're sort of combined now. There needs to be a separation still between them as per our permit. And there's also a need for reinstallation of controls on the north and on the east side. The other thing that I didn't note in here was that several large trees were cut in the conservation area behind the site, which had been felled by an unknown party and pulled into the Olympia Drive site. And Dave and I were going to follow up to try to find out why that was done, but they were actually like some large oaks cut in the conservation area along the stream. The contractor said that UMass had done it, and I found that to be somewhat strange of a piece of information. I don't know any more than that. I didn't witness the cutting. I did see the trees cut and stockpiled on the 47 Olympia site. So that's interesting information. And I basically asked them to repair the erosion controls before any work on the north and east side of the foundation is conducted. So that's an update on Olympia, but there's other pertinent updates on other sites that are applicable and noted in my report.
Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Let me just stop you for a sec. So we've heard no answer from them?
I've been in touch with the contractor who's doing the demo work, but I'm not from the owner with regard to soil testing, no.
So what are our options here since it's been since when that they didn't answer? Quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple months since I
Okay,
originally
well,
emailed
so
them.
what do we do? What are our options here?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think we don't, this isn't an enforcement case. It's not like we're saying you've altered a resource area and we have any documentation to that effect. I mean, the commission, I don't think that that's really the tack to take in this case. We could send a formal letter, which that might be better to do. And, you know, we could do a formal letter on letterhead as opposed to just a simple email, and or there's the possibility of having the town attorney send a letter. I mean, those are options to try to, you know, get a more formalized response from the owner on these things. Those are just some ideas that I could throw out right now.
So what do you think might be holding them back from being able to give us an answer, to be from being able to communicate with us?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think maybe they have a lot going on and maybe it's not on the top of the priority list. I don't really know.
All right. So, and right now, in the meantime, Aaron, I mean, what we want is for them to protect the wetlands below, you know, down by putting something up. So, and the longer they wait, the more damage can be done, right?
Well, Yeah, I mean, right, when I was out there, the site was frozen. So, I told them I was fine with them waiting until the ground thawed a little bit to install the controls, mostly because I was concerned that if they installed them with it in its current condition, that there would be sort of gaps underneath the controls, and it wouldn't be really a seamless installation. They
Yep.
could install it right now, but it was stable and frozen. So my recommendation to them was wait until the ground thaws a little bit, sort of smooth out the ground surface, and then install all of the controls on a smooth surface, so that they're functioning properly. So they were going to work on that and have me come back out. And the contractor seemed responsive and willing to do those updates to the controls. I think the bigger question was the soil testing in the back of, that's all conservation area, and then also the tree cutting in the back, and trying to
Yeah.
sort of get to the bottom of those two things.
Okay. Well, we need an answer from them. So, I think we should step it into either a formal letter or something from the attorney. I mean, we're not asking for a whole lot. I know that they're busy, but we all know that. But they've had a long time and haven't, we've had what, two requests to them? Or has it been more? Three?
I've had 2 written email requests.
Okay, so let's put something with letterhead, please. I mean, that's my opinion at least. It's been sitting doing nothing for a while. Now that things are going to start moving, they should probably cover up, so to speak. It's warming up. They can do all kinds of work there. Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to the owner as well, Andre.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great. You
I,
you,
I,
you also need a letter with a formal letter. I don't.
yeah, I just want to also appreciate that, the owner is going through potential, they're looking at they've been doing a lot. They had a potential criminal investigation going on, if you will, an investigation, so you can't touch the site. They also have insurance companies saying don't impact the site at all. We want to see everything that's out there, et cetera, et cetera. So I appreciate that you all want answers and we will get them for you, but I also want to acknowledge that this is a massively catastrophic event for this company and this business. So I'll reach out to the owner who I know quite well and see if we can get some response.
That's great, Dave. Yep. Since I'm just telling that that what we're looking for is a response.
Mhm.
It's not going to take them a long time. We just need a response. I mean, for us to be requesting something that we have the authority and function of protecting, and after 2 months and 2 requests, and now we're going to put in a formal with a letterhead, I would expect to have at least a response. I know they have a lot going on, but 2 months with no response feels like more than I'm willing to tolerate.
And I should probably clarify what I said. Criminal might not have been the right word. It was the state fire marshal investigation. That's more accurate. I'm a little fatigued here as we all are, but state fire marshal investigation is
Yeah,
more accurate.
investigate crimes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Um. All right, Aaron, I'm sorry about interrupting you after you were moving on from Olympia Drive. Please continue. Sorry about that.
Sure, no problem. So I've had 3 sites with ongoing turbidity issues, one of them being Fort River School, multiple monitoring reports with turbidity in the river coming from the site. And the first one was them saying, oh, it's coming from off-site. And I said, I don't think it's coming from off-site. I checked upstream all around that site and found nothing and said, you guys need to check the site again. And they ended up finding 2 unprotected catch basins, which had been intercepting turbid stormwater on the site. And then they covered them after the fact. I was not really happy about that situation, but they've addressed it, and hopefully moving forward there won't be any alterations to the resource area. But there already were significant alterations to the resource area from their issues there. Hickory Ridge, there's also been issues, turbidity entering resource areas on that site. I entered the site back in early March and asked them to make corrections all around the site. And they said that they would be out there the next day. The monitoring report shows turbidity leaving the site or leaving the construction area. So I was, said they're going to continue to monitor it, but you know, I'm not happy to see turbidity leaving the boundaries of the construction area. East Street School restoration have had multiple conversations with the engineer and the contractor out there, basically telling them that they need to get some soil stabilization measures installed. They did install some stuff, but it was not really sufficient. So I've been on them to try to get that addressed as well. It's been a tough couple weeks with the melt and, you know, significant snow melt, significant precipitation on larger sites. There have been larger sites like Montague Road that have been buttoned up beautifully and haven't had any issues. So it's not like every single site, it's just certain ones. And then Andre, you and I did a site visit out at UMass. So I didn't know if you wanted to download from that as well once others have had comments.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think if you don't mind leading that one, that's great. But we do have a couple questions from Fort River, Hickory Ridge, and the Southeast Street School. Bruce?
Listen first.
What's that, Jason?
I wanted to bring up, I think it's 815 Main Street. It was the building that was demoed, and they're building a new building that's a house and an ADU and everything. They don't have any BMPs in the front of the property, and I drive past that every day taking the kids to school. It's pretty muddy, and it's at least a portion of it is sloped down towards the street. I'd like to see if there's something we can do to get them to go in and put their BMPs back in place. And then, you know, I don't see the back of it, but I'm going to assume if the back looks like the front, they don't have any BMPs in place at all around the project.
No, they do have BMPs in the back, and their monitoring reports have those. I agree with you on the front. So originally they weren't planning to remove the trees in the front, and so there was actually vegetation in the front, but apparently in consult with the tree warden, they discovered that the trees had problems, and so they were permitted to take them down in the front of the lot. And so I think that is where now we're seeing a lot of disruption in the front. So I can ask them to add wattle or
and they had it out there, and it's gotten removed, and it's gotten parked on top of because it's a tight area. So
yeah, I agree.
And they don't have any kind of stabilized construction entrance.
Yeah, that's also true. I have been monitoring that one because I drive by it every day, and they haven't had anything coming into the street, but it's a good point, and I can tell them that they need to keep a closer eye on that.
Thank you.
Bruce?
So I hesitate to make this suggestion since I could only participate in it on Mondays and Fridays. But I wonder, Aaron, if you have specific examples of being not paid attention to sufficiently, if you would like us to arrive en masse that there were 4 or 5 commissioners with you to visit this site and have a discussion, that might help. And then I guess Sarah could or Dave could tell me more, but what would happen if we asked a police officer to go with us when we had our discussion about all they had to do was stand there, and it might give the understanding that we're not fooling around here.
Yeah.
A couple of suggestions.
Yeah, so I mean, I think your point is well taken, Bruce. I mean, one option, and I can express this, is just to say the commission to follow up with the uh, supers on the site and say, we've observed on multiple occasions that you've got turbidity leaving your site. The commission has taken notice to this, and if we get another inspection report that demonstrates turbidity leaving your construction sites, the commission's going to be coming out here to do a group visit to inspect what's going on. I think that might be a good sort of warning to let them know that they need to get it together a little bit.
Whatever works is what I would advocate for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Did you want to jump
No.
into UMass discussion?
Yeah, let's go.
So Andre and I were out at a site visit. We have a request for certificate of compliance for the culvert replacement that was done at by UMass on the what's sort of anecdotally referred to as Cinder Path, which is the roadway that goes between sort of UMass out by, I'm trying to think, Cold Storage Road and Presidential Apartments. There was a enforcement order out there for the an unauthorized culvert replacement, which was a pretty significant enforcement case that we dealt with a couple years ago. And so Andre and I went out to look at it, and my big concern is that the water's not flowing in the culvert. The water's flowing on the Hadley side, but if you look at the USGS, the perennial stream is shown as being in Amherst, not in Hadley. So it's very interesting that it looks like the stream was almost like rerouted into Hadley. And Andre saw it he saw it himself, and the consultant said, "Oh no, we've got evidence of this flowing. We've got video, we've got photos." And then when they sent the pictures, there was no evidence of it flowing. There was pictures of snow and ice in it that had obviously from precipitation that had frozen, and then there was dry photos of the stream bed, but I have not ever seen the stream flowing. And so it just calls to question, we're being asked to issue a certificate of compliance on this culvert, and there's no stream flow through the culvert. And so that's just a concern.
Video. She was going to send pictures and video. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen anything running through there.
Yeah, she did provide a couple for previous monitoring reports that had been done out there, but they did not show water flowing. They were just dry channel.
Yep. There's a lot of plastic netting from the socks and erosion socks and erosion matting, etc. We found a whole bunch of plastic out there, which they were unaware of, apparently. So they're going to be needing to clean that out. But yeah, I didn't see anything that said that there was any flow, but their rep jumped up saying, yeah, no, that was flowing, and we have pictures, and I have, in fact, I have video, and so I'm like, okay, we'll send it to us. But so far, we haven't seen any evidence of that, right? Yeah, okay. Bruce?
Since we get to UMass at the end of the meetings, I will simply make another suggestion. We are the only town in this Commonwealth that has a city inside of it. And I would like to explore the question of getting some support from the state government to deal with the many things that happen or don't happen because UMass is the applicant. It's
Yeah.
it's just egregious.
How about we start a list or maybe next meeting we take a few minutes to run through what we can remember, or we run through a list that we can think of, so that we can, when we do talk to whoever it is, we have a
Again,
concrete.
it's whatever would work is fine with me. I don't know what would work, but let's try to find something.
We did speak with Kristen from SWCA, and she had said that she was going to meet with UMass immediately following our meeting. And I did talk to them about a follow-up to the my comments on their annual stormwater management report that they submit to us for their activities related to their operation and maintenance plan, and just indicating, like, you guys, they're like taking pictures of manholes and saying everything looks good, and they didn't take, it's like they didn't even look in the structures. There's no evidence that anything was cleaned or maintained. And so I was like, well, it's a little incomplete of information. And so I'd asked a bunch of questions via email to the facilities folks and didn't get any response. So she was going to follow up on that. And it's been, yeah, I mean, I think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, but it does warrant some follow up to find out exactly kind of what's going on and get some answers.
It seems there's a lot of movement right now among management within their structure, if you would, the structure that we would deal with. But regardless of that, I mean, maybe a letter, I mean, if they're supposed to be submitting these reports to us and they're not, I mean, you've asked them to submit them and they still haven't, right? And so, sorry.
Well, they did submit the report, but so just to give an example, if they do work, they're supposed to contact us to tell us, hey, we're going to do this work. We're going to start it on X date and we have controls installed so you can come out and inspect them. They submitted the report and they said the work is done, and they never, but then we don't know. I have no idea what was even done. So I responded and said, well, what work was done and when was it done? And can you give us a little more information? And I got nothing back. And then for,
Well,
yeah.
I'll do this, and let's get put on the schedule next week a discussion about how what we need to do to make sure that they have their maintenance and operations plan that we've approved for them, to make sure that that maintenance and operations plan works for them and us. In other words, they can't be running around doing what they want to when they want to, as they want to, without us, without answering questions, or we pull it and they have to come to us every time. I mean, that's the way this works. This is a privilege for them.
Well, it's a start.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's a start. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think frankly, they have a permit to maintenance and operations permit. If they're not using it properly, if they're abusing it, then they don't need that, because they're violating the law. Does that make sense? I mean, does anybody, I don't know. I just don't want to see that continue. And yes, Bruce, we've had some issues for a while, and it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like they're doing anything to stop it. You're sending emails requesting information they're not providing.
And a year and a half ago, they promised to be different. They promised to come and give us a quarterly advance report on what was coming, and that has never happened.
Right.
And so I'm pretty frustrated with the situation.
So
Yeah.
let's have a conversation about this. Let's put this on the agenda for next week, the next meeting, so that we can have a block to consider what to do with them. And I would request that they send whoever they can to address these questions to this meeting, please. And if they don't want to send anyone, no, hopefully they'll send somebody and we can have this conversation, because yeah, we've been promised things and it's not working. It's not happening. Thanks, Aaron and Bruce. Dave.
Yeah, I was going to go with what you said, Andre, which is, why don't you ask, we've had Jason Venditti, who is a high-level project manager there. I would, Aaron, you could reach out to Jason and say the commission would like you to come and address some of these, projects or communication gaps. And we did it a year ago and there seemed to be a correction and now they need another course correction. So I think Jason Venditti would be an appropriate person if you reach out to him, Aaron.
Thanks for your suggestion, Dave. Carol?
So it seems like you're discussing coming up with a strategy to be paid attention to, right?
Essentially, what's happened is we haven't been, they have not done what they were supposed to. We've
Yeah.
asked them some questions regarding some of what they've done, and they have blown us off essentially, or if you want to say it, we have not gotten responses. So we're trying to find a way to make
Right.
it work for them and us, because to me, right now, what I'm seeing is from the lack of responses, what I see is the use of a permit that we issued them to make things easier for them. So that abuse is gonna needs to change to them being responsive and doing what they're supposed to, or to us reverting to not having that permit and them having to apply for each individual thing that they do. So if you want to, whatever we want to word it as, we can word it as, yes, we're looking for a way for a plan to be listened to, but at the same time, we're working for a plan for the operations plan that they requested from us, that approval to be
Right.
work properly. Because otherwise, right now, it's not working. See, it's working for them,
Right.
maybe mass, because they're doing what they want to, but the fact is that it's not working according to the law.
Right. So how to give weight to our process.
Yes.
And it seems like this isn't the first time it's come up.
You're correct in your assumption.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few times, and some of them worse than others. But if we look from here forward, but knowing the fact that they haven't been responding, and we haven't been getting notified prior to work being done, this system, as it is right now, is not working.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm listening to what Bruce just said. Like, for example, sending emails doesn't seem to work doesn't scare anybody.
Yeah, well, we can, I mean, ultimately, if nothing else works, then we just, we'll have to find a way to revoke that permit. I mean, again, the permit is a convenience to them,
Mhm.
everybody really, but
Right.
but it doesn't mean that they wash their hands of responsibility.
Right.
I'm sorry I brought this up, but I'm going to wait for Tina.
Oh, thanks, Bruce. I just need to excuse myself, but I will see you guys at the next meeting.
Thank you, Tina. Thanks for everything.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
And my last comment is sometimes the way to get things done is to go to our state senator and talk with her about our problem. And, you know, she knows how to get things done. So I don't want to get into a conversation about it right now, but there are other avenues we could explore. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, are there any other topics that we haven't covered that we would like to cover and we didn't anticipate 48 hours prior to now? I don't see any. Your hand's still up there, Bruce. I'm looking at our participants. There are no attendees, so we don't have any questions from the public. So I think that's it for tonight. Folks, thank you all for another good night of suggestions on and comments and so on. If we don't have anything else, then I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Oops, I second it.
Jason with a motion, Sarah with a second. And I have one question to ask just after that. Sarah,
Hi.
Bruce,
Bye.
Carol,
Aye.
Rachel,
Hi.
Jason,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So thanks, everybody. I do have actually forget it. We'll oh, I know what. Yeah. Next week, I would like to talk about funding. We'll need to put that on the schedule as well, Aaron. But you know, the Conservation Commission Act has a way to use all the permitting fees that people pay the town. Half of that stays with the town. That those fees can be used for Conservation Commission work. And I think that we should be, I think every new conservation commissioner should be trained. And we should have booklets. So I would like to find a way to make that, make those, some of those funds come to and be invested in the commission's knowledge and experience and expertise. So unfortunately, today slipped away without me being able to talk about that, and Dave's gone now. But next week, I think that's worthy of a conversation. So if we can put that into the thing for next week, that'd be great. Our next meeting. Otherwise, folks, thanks a bunch. I know we're tired. It's been a long day, and I hope you guys all have a great restful sleep.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Night, everyone.
Night,
Bye.
everybody.